Now, RV life has changed significantly over the last 4 years, and due to these changes, there are several factors that pose real threats to the way most of us enjoy RV living. In this video, I'm gonna break down what has changed, how it changed, and why that now, this year in 2024, we are going to see 4 factors that are going to threaten RV life and travel as we know it, but more importantly, some important solutions that you need to know regarding how to navigate these factors and threats and changes so that you and just all the rest of us who love and enjoy this lifestyle can sail smoothly throughout this next year and the years to come. Let's talk about the first factor with the rising demand for RV parks. In the recent years, the RV lifestyle has seen a significant surge in popularity, becoming a preferred means of travel, not just for retirees anymore, but for families, couples, and solo travelers of all ages. Especially during 2020, during COVID, many people realized having their own small home on wheels, aka an RV with them, was much preferred to hotels or flying. And at least for us, there's something about the open road in front of you. I mean, the view out of the windshield as the landscape changes from mountains to deserts. I mean, all of this and more has drawn many people, us included, to this lifestyle and mode of travel. However, with this rising trend comes a looming challenge that is shaping up to be the #1 threat to RV travel in 2024. And we'll have more on that just a little later in the video. But let's look at factor number 2, and those are actually current trends. Now, I like to geek out and use tools like Google Trends to research and see data. And there's definitely a sort of seasonality to RV camping and travel for most RVers. And a glance at Google search trends reveals a telling story about RV parks, RV campgrounds, RV overnight camping, and other related search terms. Now, these were at an all-time high during the summer of 2020. But the interesting thing is these searches, especially during summer months or camping season, have stayed higher than in years past before 2020. So now, as some have pointed out, what happened was this. During 2020, many people switched over to RV travel versus other forms of travel, and they didn't switch back. So we had an influx of many people who hadn't even considered RVing pre-COVID, and now they got into RVing, but instead of going back, they actually fell in love with the RV and travel lifestyle. And I mean, from a personal perspective, what's not to love about traveling by RV? I mean, everyone's comfortable. For us, potty breaks are easier. We have our full fridge of food. And now, like, if we have to make a road trip by car that's like a couple hours long, it just kind of feels flat out painful anymore. Which brings us to the third factor regarding campground reservations. Now, here's a bit of information that came from Campgrounds of America, or KOA. And if you've been around the RV space for any length of time, you probably know that KOA is a leading player in the RV park and campground industry. So KOA released a report in November of 2023 that painted a really interesting picture of the current campground reservation situation. And according to their findings, over half of RV campers had already made reservations for 2024. This unheard of level of early booking not only demonstrates the popularity of RV travel, but also signals a potential capacity crisis for RV parks across the country. And the core issue there? Supply and demand. I mean, let's think about it. The crux of the problem lies in the imbalance between the supply and the demand, because the number of RV enthusiasts is going up, and the development of new RV parks and campgrounds, or the expansion of existing ones, is not really keeping pace with the demand. So you have this mismatch leading to overcrowded parks, limited availability, and in some cases, a decline in the quality of amenities and services that are able to be offered at RV parks and campgrounds. And this is the very reason that we personally kind of get excited about a booking service called RV. Not only is RV a time saver when looking for campgrounds, but also one of our favorite ways to use RV is to find and book these near impossible campsite reservations at some of the greatest parks in America. Now, I've scored these reservations due to cancellations at several top-rated state parks during peak seasons. So now think about it. KOA is saying many people have already made their reservations for this coming summer. But we all know plans can and do change, and as a result, there are dozens of campground cancellations that happen daily. So when I use RV, I set up a sold out search, and as soon as there's a cancellation, RV doesn't just notify me about the cancellation, but they book it for me. Now, I've tried several of these alert services in the past where you get a notification of an opening at a state park or national park campground, but for me, every time I would get these alerts, as luck would have it, we'd be out and about, or I would just sometimes just be literally asleep because the alert would come in the middle of the night when I have my phone silenced. So of course, by the time I go to check, the spot would already be gone. And that's why RV works so well, because it auto books the site as soon as it becomes available. Our followers and viewers continue to share with us their experiences about how they RV'd their campsite in various situations, from last minute cancellations to trips for next week, next month, or even next year. RV members have the peace of mind in knowing that RV is always looking and booking for them nonstop, 24/7, 365. That's one of the reasons why we really like it. You can give RV a try for free at gratefulglamper.com/RV. And if you decide you want to get started with using RV to make those reservations, we have partnered with RV for an exclusive 10% discount off membership options. Let's tie it all together. What do all these factors mean for RV travelers like us? And more importantly, what action steps do we all need to take due to these challenges, or threats, if you will? Now let's just recap real fast the number one threat of congestion and overcrowding in RV parks. Now this ends up coming with increased costs, more advanced planning required, and very limited choices. What's someone to do, right? What are some solutions to these challenges? The expansion and developments of new RV parks would be nice, and we've seen many new RV campgrounds and RV parks popping up due to the rising demand. I mean, there's obviously a clear need for more RV parks and campgrounds to accommodate the growing number of travelers, but this is sometimes lengthy because it requires a lot of investment and support from both private and public sectors. So the actual process to get a new RV park up and running can sometimes take a very long time. Another solution would be things like thinking outside of the box, like developing multi-use spaces or upgrading existing facilities with more efficient designs to accommodate more RVs without compromising the experience. Now, I know none of us like to have a tight campground space or campsite, but we personally have seen many parks with large parcels of land and then only 10 to 12 sites. This is nice for those of us that like the huge campsite, but maybe there could be a room to add just a few more sites without having to compromise too much on the campsite space. Now, a lot of RVers are also embracing alternatives such as boondocking, which is camping without hookups, or staying in less popular locations, or traveling during off-peak times. Now, here's the deal. We personally have found that we actually really like Florida in both the summer and the winter. And it can be much easier to find a campsite in places like Florida in the summer versus the winter as well. So why the demand for RV parks is shaping up to be one of the most significant threats facing RV travel in 2024. This trend is really just reflecting the growing popularity of RV life, and really what's not to love, right? And it also brings to light the need for increased infrastructure and more innovative solutions to accommodate this wave of fellow enthusiastic travelers. Flexibility and adaptability are going to be key for both RV parks and travelers alike in the year to come. But there's also something very, very important that you must know if you plan on navigating this lifestyle for any length of time, and I'm going to have that right up here. If we don't see you out on the road or around the campground, we'll catch you in the next video.